In almost all storytelling mediums, the hero is the one we're supposed to root for, because we know at the end of the day, they're doing the right thing. But sometimes we're confronted with a hero that begs the question, what if they're not the hero? Hi, I'm Kari, and I like examining stories and story tropes. This is the first official video on this channel, and I hope you enjoy this semi-deep dive into heroism. Let's get into it. Sometimes there are stories that set you up and make you think the main character is the hero until it's entirely too late. Enter Wander, the main character of Shadow of the Colossus. He's on a quest that by all means should be considered heroic. He's trying to save Mono, trying to bring her back from an unfair fate. And with his ancient sword and this noble mission, how could anyone look at Wander and see anything but a hero? We watch as Wander is warned that his goal requires a heavy price, but that doesn't matter to him. And why should it? In order to save someone you love? No price is too high. We watch Wander charge in and slay Colossus after Colossus, and sure, he's succeeding, but the tone is all wrong. These defeats, these successes don't feel like a victory. And as the player, you're waiting to feel like the hero. You're waiting for these ends to justify your means. But that feeling never comes and you're all successes and no victories. A blind playthrough of Shadow of the Colossus leaves you questioning whether or not you're doing the right thing. It leaves you feeling a sense of forlorn emptiness, a sense of dread that you can't really shake. The game tells you that this is what you're supposed to be doing. I never got a blind playthrough of Shadow of the Colossus. I only picked up the game about a year or two ago after seeing an outside Xbox video where the game was featured. Then, after playing it for a while, it inspired this video. This turned out to be a double-edged sword, however, because I didn't get to be blindsided by the ending, or the tone of the game going from hopeful to ominous in a very quick pace. But I also noticed things that I probably wouldn't have otherwise. The Colossi aren't hostile right away. They don't perceive you as a threat until you become a threat. And with knowledge of how this story closes, it would be fair to assume that after the third or fourth Colossus falls at Wander's hand, that they are reacting out of fear, out of a sense of self-preservation of what can only be called a massacre from the point of view of the Colossi. There was always something ominous about the black smoke that overtakes Wander after defeating a Colossus, but it's even more chilling when you know what's happening. With every defeat, Wander gives up a part of himself. Are you still the hero when the cost of being that hero is your soul? The ending of the game leaves me with more questions about heroism than answers. Obviously, the people from his village don't see him as a hero. They see him as a petulant thief who was warned not to trek across forbidden lands. A child whose adventure is beyond his depth. To them, Wander is no hero. He has no noble goal. He's a fool who put himself and everyone else in danger by releasing doormen. But what's even worse than that? The final nail in Wander's coffin is that Mono, the person he did all of this for, won't even know that he saved her. No one will remember him as a hero. Not even himself. Could Wander have been the hero in this story? Could this had ended differently? I would argue that Wander's drive and conviction would have always led him down this path. That same motivation that led him to reverse this perceived wrong also led him to Dorman. And yes, the argument can be made that Wander made an ultimate sacrifice, but that would only really make sense if he had given his life for Mono. And the ending of the game argues against that. The elder or leader of Wander's village hopes that if Wander can, that he atone for his choices. Wander has been given a second chance, but Wander is not the hero. Wander's misguided attempt at heroism reminds me of another misguided hero. Enter Ender Wiggin. In Ender's Game, we see a 6-year-old boy requisitioned and trained for war. He is the milder of his two siblings, the in-between of loving your enemy too much and hating them too violently. And he's told that he's the only one who can lead the international fleet and save Earth from the Formics, these ant-like alien invaders. Through lies and omission, Ender is not a hero, but he is the type of leader that will make impossible choices with no hesitation, even if he doesn't know it. Ender is tricked into destroying the Formics for good by obliterating their planet and every colony queen in the process. Ender was never given a chance to be a hero. And sure, Ender was given a chance to redeem himself and atone later in the books, but he's still not remembered fondly. In Speaker of the Dead, the book after Ender's Game, they call him Ender the Xenocide. History does not look back on him in a friendly light. The boy who was bred for war and told that he would be a hero of the people and commander of the fleet is seen as a monster and a war criminal.
As a hero.
I will be remembered as a killer!
It was us or them.
And you're sure we've killed every last one of them?
I saw their whole planet destroyed.
How do you know there was another colony or another queen out there?
We won! That's all that matters.
No. The way we win matters.
What if the hero's motivations corrode over time? What if the hero's idea of what a hero means was corrupt and unrealistic from the start? Enter. In Invincible, Mark has grown up seeing his father be a superhero, and all he wants is to get his power and be just like his dad. But what does that actually mean for Mark? I don't think Mark has a fundamental idea, a real idea, of what a hero is early on. After his first real fight, where he froze out of fear and people got hurt, he tells Eve that he thought he would just punch a few aliens and make them leave. But Eve reminds him that this hero thing isn't what it looks like on TV. I think Mark has this glamorized and romanticized view of what a hero is, of what being a hero is. He sees Omni-Man return successful from mission after mission. He doesn't see the hard parts of being a hero. Mark doesn't understand that oftentimes being a hero means taking the lives of people into your own hands, whether they be villains or people you're trying to save. Mark's temper gets the best of him sometimes, and he forgets this, even after learning it. Mark's goal was never to save people. It was to be a superhero. He never wanted to confront the realities of being a hero and what that meant. He wanted to be just like his dad. He wanted to be an iconic superhero. He wanted to be cool. And then after the fight with Omni-Man and learning the real reason why they were there in the first place, that stops being his goal, and his goal becomes to not be like his dad, to prove to the world that he's not Omni-Man, that he's better than Omni-Man, safer. And after the fight with Angstrom Levy, even that goal is short-lived. His goal is now to protect his family, and that will be his goal as the comics and the show goes on. Saving the world, and by extension, repairing the Viltrum Empire, are just bonuses, side benefits to keeping his family safe. Mark Grayson is not the hero, which is a shame, because he could have been. So, where does this leave us? Is it okay to have these selfish or misguided main characters? The simple answer: these characters aren't inherently bad. We're so often flooded with these characters who want so badly to be this shining example of morality that when we come across characters like Ender and Wander, whose roads to hell were paved with the best of intentions, or Mark, whose romanticized idea of what a hero is slowly melts away into self-preservation, it shakes our idea of what a hero is meant to be. We think to ourselves, heroes aren't supposed to be selfish, they're not supposed to be manipulated, they're not supposed to become the monster. I offer you this argument, dear viewer. These shortcomings of these characters show us a level of humanity that we don't typically see than the Supermans and Captain Americas of the world. These characters bring a raw vulnerability to their stories. They bring desperation and conviction. They bring a mirror. And that crippling humanity stares back at you. And as you put yourself in the shoes of Ender and Wander and Mark, you learn their lessons and you think to yourself, what if I'm not the hero? Being flawed and imperfect is what makes these characters better. It allows us to hold space for them and see parts of ourselves in them. They don't have to be the hero to drive their story forward. So no, these characters aren't the heroes, but they don't need to be. Hey, thanks for watching. This was a lot of fun to make, and if you made it this far, how about you drop me a like? And if you want to, stick around and subscribe and see what else comes to the channel. I have a lot of ideas I want to share. So yeah, I'll see you next time. Bye.